Even when we're in the darkest of days, I'm never leaving your side. I feel it coming up ahead. Dark skies and trouble up ahead, my love. I'm not gonna run, no, I'm not gonna run, but I feel it coming up ahead. Oh, I feel it coming up ahead. Dark skies and trouble up ahead, my love. I'm not gonna run, no, I'm not gonna run, but I feel it coming up ahead. Hold on, stay close, and everything will be alright. I'll be where you go, and we'll make it out the other side. I can't control all the waves and the tides when there's nothing but clouds in the sky. Even when we're in the darkest of days, I'm never leaving your side. I feel it coming up ahead. Dark skies and trouble up ahead, my love. I'm not gonna run, no, I'm not gonna run, but I feel it coming up ahead. I feel it coming up ahead. Dark skies and trouble up ahead.
Morning, everyone. Hi, everyone on Zoom. Hope everyone's having a great week. Summer is quickly coming to an end. School starting next week and the following week for the school districts. Yikes. We have a good meeting today. We're going to talk about the commercial summit and mega camp, which were back to back to each other in Austin. But first, we want to start with a little new video that was released at mega camp.
Oh, that's you.
Not us.
Not us.
There we go. There.
When you were a kid and you still had a kid's imagination, did you ever make your own cape, get on top of your roof, put your fists on your hips? You'd look out to the horizon, and before you jumped, you'd take your deepest breath and shout, "I can sell this house!" Of course not. Even I didn't do that. And I have a real estate superhero for a father. Didn't dress up like a realtor for Halloween either. I wish I had now. But instead of being the cowboys or astronauts we dreamed of, we all grew up and became what we are. Now that's a good thing. It's also a shame, because way too many of you think of yourselves as just real estate agents. What if instead of millionaire real estate agent, Gary titled it, How to Be a Pirate? Did you really think all those books were about real estate? You were reading instead of feeling. They were about life, grand adventures of fortunes to be had, stories about chaos and opportunity, strength and vision, leadership and daring exploits. They were maps to sail the world, to explore and discover, clues to solve mysteries. They were autobiographies and memoirs of Gary and everyone he ever met. They were thrillers, comedies, epic tales, and legends of conquering heroes. Now those are things you make a cape for. Entrepreneurs can fly. We're 40 years old this year. We went and grew up, but we have to keep dreaming like children because children aren't afraid to fall. They aren't afraid to go to sea in a storm. Their imaginations are wild because they haven't learned to fail. They catch their breath in excited gulps and never stop moving. They cannonball into pools, and they pretend to be pirates, just like entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs don't love chaos. They love seeing an answer in the chaos. We build businesses worth owning and lives worth living. While others simply play real estate, we bend the rules to the direction we want the wind to blow. We command the horizon. We lead an industry by going our own way. We train the best to be better and to come on board, and we leave competitors in our wake. We sell, we buy, we change lives. Tears of joy, shouts of victory. The dreams we had melt with the dreams of our clients. New keys, new doors, new lives, new memories. And every one of us will be a part of the stories they tell. The life we've chosen is a celebration of the journey, from treasure to treasure. It's an attitude you either have or you learn from reading a book you thought was about real estate. At Keller Williams, as a leader, as a team builder, as a lever of legacy, You will be so much more than a real estate agent. There's an entrepreneur inside every one of you, an incredibly wealthy entrepreneur. Because as Gary tells us, relationships are the currency of wealth, and you're part of a culture like no other, with a network like no other. In Mark Twain's book, Life on the Mississippi, he remembers his childhood when he says, "Now and then we had the hope that if we lived and were good, God would permit us to be pirates." Who ever heard of a pirate asking permission? Hoist the skull and mustache.
Cars and coffee, pirate cars and coffee.
Rat Rod is a pirate themed rat rod.
I love it. That'd be perfect. I love it. It looks like
Michelle,
the
we bought the
Munsters.
set sweatshirt. We have the Pirates. What did you guys think of that? Bradley, what did you?
Come on, Bradley.
Woo! Okay, so if you didn't know, that was John Keller speaking, Gary Keller's son, who is starting to be more involved in like the tech video side. He does all
Yeah,
that kind of
he's-
stuff. But the message, I like the message because it talks about like we cannot just do what we did yesterday, right? We have to always be kind of pushing the limits, like pirates.
Mhm.
But yeah, what we did yesterday won't work. So
I love that he said relationships are the currency of wealth.
yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's cool.
Yes. Oh my gosh, so good. Okay. Now that we kicked off with that, let's talk about what's going on. Okay, so I talked to the Tiger Tualatin School District, and they have support this year from Office Depot, who's sponsoring their like actual supplies, like for kids that can't afford supplies. But they aren't what they really need is Band-Aids. Apparently they go through like tons of boxes of Band-Aids. So they need Band-Aids. They need packaged snacks for like if kids don't have like snacks. And then a lot of unisex clothing for like accidents and like bloody noses and thrown up and all that stuff for the health center, and like unisex. So just like t-shirts and sweatpants and sweatshirts. So I told them that we would work to collect some of these items because a lot of you guys have asked, like, are we going to do a school supply drive, something like that. So they said like your traditional supplies, they're covered on, but those things that they are in desperate need for. So this week we'll be collecting these things, and you want to just bring them in, Sydney, we'll figure out a box to collect it all in, and we'll go from there. But again, it helps there. We do have a large number in both, not a large number in Lake Oswego, but in Tiger Tualatin, there is a large number of lower income, and there is some in Lake Oswego as well, families that do rely on things. So I know at our elementary school alone, which is like right down the street, our principal said that there was 30 homeless kids just at Durham Elementary down the street.
Seriously?
Right. So it's real. And that's Mark's daughter went there too, right? So, I mean, it's much more prevalent than you would think, right? In our area. So, and then specifically like extra small kid sizes, because those are like the younger kids that have more situations. So, we appreciate anyone's generosity towards that. Okay. We have a really good class on Thursday. So Rick Gray is flying in from Boise, and he has another gentleman with him, Eric Post, who is well known for speaking on AI. Yeah. And they're going to be presenting here 11 o'clock in this room. It is in person only, but it's taking AI to the next level to really enhance your business. We've had a lot of like basic AI type conversations and trainings. There's been lots of talk out there, but now this is taking it to the next level, beyond just even like the free chat GPT and things like that.
I think
So-
this is super important because I think your competitors are doing this, guys. And if you're not, you're spending more time doing something that they're spending less time doing, and probably doing it at a higher level than you.
Yeah, I feel like I could be using AI.
Yeah,
I know
absolutely.
Austin uses
I
it
think
all the
this
time.
is going to be as important as the internet.
Yeah.
In about 2 years. So
Mhm.
if you're not learning it now, in 2 years, you'll be way behind
Mhm.
the top people in the business that have all their systems with AI, recruiting all of your agents wherever they go. And so to me, I would be so on this right now for the next like 3 years.
Mhm.
Eric Post was a fairly prominent local realtor, very successful.
Yeah.
And he is now all in on AI. He basically has shifted his business away from real estate, and he actually has 2 AI startups. That's what he's doing. So the
Yeah.
fact that Rick got him in here, that I will clear my calendar to come see him.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
what's cool is these are coaches of people that are pursuing AI to develop for their own teams, right? So this is as ground roots as it comes for KW because Rick is at KW Boise. And so he coaches a lot of the top Boise teams and he coaches teams across the country now. And so if we can learn from them how our fellow teammates are starting to use it in their business, that is like the best thing you could possibly have in front of you. If you think about what happened with the internet, I remember talking about it to my former company owner, Mike Hassan, saying, Mike, we got to get up on this. We got to get a company website. And he's like, I just want to wait.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I got my own and built my own website and built my own persona in the website, in 90, whatever, 5 or something. And the company didn't roll one out for 5 years. And they were way behind by the time they did,
Yeah.
playing catch up. This is huge. It is the future of everything we're going to be doing. So I would definitely be here to listen to this.
Yes. And there is a registration link that just helps us count for like food and space and stuff. But if you don't register, you can still come in here in person only.
Austin, do you think we're at a red pill, blue pill moment with AI right now?
Oh, I love that. No, yeah.
Yeah.
Can you explain that to everyone?
Oh, look, I mean, I remember seeing a Matrix when I was a kid. But yeah, no, I mean, it's like
Oh, I'm like, you haven't seen the Matrix.
No,
That's
yeah.
a
No,
Matrix
it's-
thing.
it's-
Okay. I was
it
like, what
really
does
is
that
like-
mean? Okay.
AI at some point is gonna be an all in or all out type thing. There's
Mhm.
not gonna be a situation where I think you can, like, you're gonna want, if you get into it, you're gonna want to utilize it, right?
Mhm.
It's not
Yeah.
gonna be like, let me explore it, because there's gonna be a certain point where as people are exploring it right now, it's great, we're learning, but you're gonna have to understand the basics to get to the more, when things like, people are developing AI and they're like making it more and more advanced, and you don't want to be left behind.
Yeah.
Like, I see, like, not calling anyone out here, I'm not gonna make eye contact with anyone, but it's like, I see real estate agents who, like,
Look
you
at
know,
me.
it's like,
Look
just
at me.
proper, like, understanding browsers and like how bookmarks work, or how DocuSign works, where it's like, nowadays it's so established that if you are behind on it,
So hard to catch up.
That's a really good way
Really
to
hard to catch
compare
up.
that.
Yeah.
Right.
And like, this isn't the foundation, like they're pouring the footings right now of AI, right?
Right.
Where this is going, nobody knows. And like, so you've got to get on board now.
Yeah, I love it. See y'all there. Thursday at 11 o'clock in this room. And then next week on Wednesday, we have a really good CE class. So Tim Young is from Lawyer's Title, but he's in the building and development sector. And he has taught classes here on zoning before and the middle housing. And he is so familiar, like at the end of his class, there'll be like a line of people to talk to him because he's so knowledgeable on just like all the processes of like,
He's actually helping one of our brokers who bought a property to divide. Like,
I love it.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, so he's a great speaker. So he's going to be coming in and talking about the art of Portland Metro architectural styles and home design. So this should be a great one. Lunch is provided, so please register for that. It's through the lawyers portal so that you can get your CE credit easier and everything too. But again, if you don't register, you can still show up. And that is next Wednesday.
And he is, like you said,
He is so good.
fantastic
We
presenter.
keep asking him to come back and teach more because he's so knowledgeable
Yeah.
and he's a good
He's
presenter.
a great presenter.
Right. And he's very truthful about like
Yeah.
how things are, like with trying to get things.
Mhm. He has a lot of experience. Like he's active developing properties to this day. He's not just sitting in an office, advising people. He's doing his own projects, and he also advises for Lawyer's Title. And I can't say it again. Like sometimes you have people come in and they have great topics, but they can't present. He presents really well, so it's fun. It's always a fun class when he's
Yeah.
around. Yeah.
Cool. See you there too. We are doing our broker bucks. So if you refer someone to come in and meet with us here, you get $200 just for referring. So really that simple. They don't have to join. All they have to do is have a meeting with us just to talk to us. All right, keep that going.
I'm so excited right now.
Oh my God. I was like, why is Austin being goofy over there? Okay, so I asked Austin to make a slide with a big X over his face and then a big like circle around Cole, because Cole, come over here so people on Zoom can see you. Cole has been training with Austin for the last like week and a half now. We get all the way in. Oh yeah, see that now they can see you. Yeah. And Cole's gonna be our new agent services. He's full-time without Austin starting next week. So yes, but Cole has been an agent here, familiar with command, and Austin's been doing a good job teaching him all the ways. So
All the ways of the master.
yes, we're excited for you.
I'm excited. I got some really big shoes to fill, obviously,
Wow.
by these graphics,
That's
yeah, no, Austin set such an incredible fan.
Like the giant scribble over
The
Austin.
giant-
That's really funny.
It's like 3 X's, I think.
That's yeah. Okay, you really
But-
X'd it. And then why is the guy's checking out Cole?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's just funny in this context. Okay, welcome, Cole.
Thank you.
Yay! Oh my gosh. Okay, what are we talking about next? Let's talk about the commercial summit. So Ramona, Cameron, want to come up
I'm
and
gonna take the
talk?
rest of this meeting off.
Yeah, you guys are out. Cameron, happy birthday yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Do you feel older and wiser?
Yes, very, very wise.
Yes. Ramona, come over here so they can see on the
Okay.
camera too.
I don't want to trip over this.
Yes. Oh,
Thank you.
okay. So this year, the commercial summit was in Austin right before Mega Camp. So in theory, you could go to it all, but we split and conquered, right?
I
So
missed you then.
I know it sounds like it was a good time.
It
So
was.
these guys went and Grace, Kim went, Dwight was there. So tell everyone a little about it and your takeaways and
Gosh, it was, I brought up my notes. 'Cause
Ooh.
I was like, I was reviewing them. There was so much great content, I felt. And they had this panel, I have the sheet because there was this panel of all the industry segments. The leaders of there's a monthly call for each of those segments, and they were there sharing information.
for those not in commercial, explain what the segments are.
So it's funny because I was just talking to an agent I work with in Washington. They were talking about land. They're like, oh, land. And I said, you know, we have apartment buildings, and they're like, I never thought of apartment buildings being commercial. And I said, oh yeah, there's all kinds of. So in commercial, there's all types of product types. There's multifamily, there's land, industrial land, warehousing, office space, hospitality, hotels. I'm forgetting a few.
And we have a new
segments.
one that was just established at the summit, development. It's
Yes.
like land and development together, yeah.
Yeah, so you can specialize in each one of those areas. And that was really hit home. I think at the summit, they really specified like, and that's good for any agent. Like if we had the branding class, niche down, it really powers out your business.
Right, because within
So-
commercial, selling retail spaces is so different than industrial than development land, right?
Yeah, or
So-
multifamily housing
Mhm.
and stuff. So there was that. They announced a partnership with, this is exciting because Childers, the NBA player that was there, who I was not familiar with, he was with Atlanta, played with Atlanta. So they announced,
He came and presented. It was pretty
yeah,
cool.
he
An
was
Good.
there.
NBA player? Is he in commercial real estate or was
He
it like
started
motivation?
a company doing development down in Orange County.
Yeah,
Tyler.
Josh Childress.
Childress, yes. So he was there. It was really great. He did.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm sitting there going, who is
But it was pretty cool because they basically built on the new partnership with the NBA that
Yeah.
KW has, the sports and entertainment. So it's
So
Cool,
it's
because it
cool.
goes together.
Yeah.
Yeah, because these players go in and they make money, and what do? How do they invest it? So a lot of the partnership is about the investment side of it, which all of you should be doing, investing in your own product. And so whether they want to get into real estate as an agent or invest in commercial real estate, this sets them up in a partnership with Keller Williams on how to do that. Super exciting.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this was your first commercial summit. So, what were your takeaways as far as like the expansiveness of our commercial business?
It was really great to see. I mean, what was it, a year and a half or two ago, I came as a team leader into another office. So, and then went to, mega camp, and they had like a little tent out. And I saw, even before I went, I sought out Cynthia Lee and Dale Donovan. And I was like, this needs to, like, Keller Williams commercial needs to be expanded. What can I do to help? And so it was really exciting to see it grow to the level that it is of 300 people there from across the country. From like, I mean, they had like a little booth outside family reunion and mega camp, to now it's its own thing, and people are buying in, and it's growing because their goal is, in Keller Williams fashion, to be number one in the commercial industry. So they're quickly becoming that.
Awesome. Okay, so we went last year to what's different. What was different this year? What were your takeaways?
A lot more people,
Okay.
a lot more new people, which was pretty impressive. And I love all of what they're trying to do that Ramona's explaining about the product division leaders and the
so that they
segments and
really
then the
know what they're
partnerships.
talking about. Like so the leaders of each division are very smart, successful commercial people.
Yeah, and there was a lot that's specific that obviously we're going to go over in our next commercial specific call, but there were like partnerships with CCIM, with different accreditations across commercial. So it's pretty exciting to see that.
Yeah. And then Grace is not here, but she went at the last minute. I loved that. And Dwight was saying at one time, he's like, oh, she didn't even sit with us. She was networking. And it's just so cool to hear that. Right. And
yeah, it was, I think that was a good takeaway, is to see such high level people that are masters in their trade, and they're reaching out to make connections with people. So it was very easy for Grace to network in, because everybody in that room was looking to meet everybody else.
Cool. So yeah, remember, these guys are here. If you have commercial referrals, commercial questions, if you want to start learning about commercial, there's, right now, what is it? There's like 2,000 KW commercial agents.
I don't know. We're 2,600 last year. There's probably over 3 now.
Okay.
That
3,000
could
maybe.
be,
Yeah.
it was a
Okay.
lot. It was double the size this year.
Really?
from last
That's
year.
cool.
Oh, yeah, it was big.
I saw it was at the convention center, which
Yep.
the year before it was at Keller Williams headquarters. But so that just shows how much it's grown.
Yeah,
Okay,
it was-
awesome,
it
you
was
guys.
great.
Any
Yeah.
other takeaways you want to share?
Oh, last one, business brokerage. A lot of people ask questions about that, or you have referrals. We get lots of referrals from residential agents about business brokerage. We still have local partners, at least in our market here in Portland Metro, but we are establishing a product division lead within that. It was supposed to be announced this year at the summit, but it will probably come out in the next month or two. So we'll have a little more direction on that, at least internally within KW.
That's like if someone wants to sell a business without land or property involved.
Correct. Yep. Just the business.
Just the business. So
Yeah.
thank you
Yeah.
guys for being leaders.
You're
And
welcome.
I'm sure all the commercial agents are gonna be excited to hear all the details. that you know.
Yes.
Thanks. Yay, round of applause for them. Okay, Michelle, you're up.
Didn't they say they were just about to announce a partnership with the NBA?
Yeah, it
Are you
just
drinking?
came.
Oh, you drink some. I'm sick. I'm sick.
And happy birthday again, Kim. Okay, so mega camp. So mega agent camp every year is where agents from all over the country, and it used to just be top agents were invited, and then it's expanded out, come together to hear from other top agents. So they interviewed, in preparation for this, they interviewed 300 different top agents who were nominated across, actually not just the country, the world. And from that, they picked 80 of them that presented on stage and gave these 15-minute, whatever, maybe longer, little interviews on what they're doing. And the level of what some of these people were doing was so cool. And then what was even cooler is they packaged everyone's notes for each of these people in like a 1-pager, so that we could take it back and share. So Kelly, would you pass those out? So these are an example of, where is it? Right here. On the front, I just made a little outline. So if there's something you're looking for, you can go to, but it's like the whole first section is like different models on like, if you're just a solo agent or solo agent and an admin or building a team. And then all the next section is all lead generation things. So like open houses, social media, farming, database, events, seminars, online leads, marketing, referrals and relocation, networking, making offers for immediate response, and then listings, investment properties, working with buyers, adding leverage and building wealth yourself. So there's literally like, it's almost like you guys went to it because there's a one pager. And I mean, some of these people were, there was a solo agent who she had done 300 transactions just by herself and was like,
she has a TC and an admin.
That was it. Right. And it was like, and they were like, what do you do for lead gen? She's like, oh, I don't do anything to like generate leads. And they're like, well, you do something. And she thinks she's saying that in the sense, she doesn't sit in an office and make cold calls for 3 hours, but she, like the first day of school, she drove around and gave donuts to all the teachers in all the school districts. She goes to like the fire departments and like brings them cookies, and like she does all these things within her community. So it was, for me, a big takeaway was the variety in which these agents were growing their business. It's much different than like, you sit at your desk and you do your lead gen for 3 hours a day. And I got here because I made all the calls. That works, but like there's a lot of other things that work too. Like, I'll let you check before I keep talking about all the, but it was the level of some of these people that were like, how are you doing this?
The thing I heard consistently throughout all of these agents that were talking was systems. Like everybody had a system and then they were consistent. And I thought it was really interesting, even including the gal that had done 306 transactions. She came from another brokerage and where she did like on average 40 transactions. And she's like, when I finally bought into the Keller Williams systems, because she's like, yeah, Keller Williams, you have your systems. But she was like, when I actually gave it a try, that's when her business escalated. And she was not the only person to say that. Like so many of the agents were like, well, once I got my systems in place, once I was consistent. And a quote that I heard that really resonated with me is success is boring. And it is in the fact that you're doing systems and you have to be consistent, and systems and consistency is not fun. Right. But it does bring success. So that was a huge thing that I took away was that. And then another big theme was the happiness. Like, how happy are you? Because Gary addressed on stage, like, hey, we interviewed all these agents and we're like, what are you doing out there? How are you building your business? And not one of them is like, and I'm really happy in my life. Like all of them was like, I grind, I get up every day, I'm cold calling, blah. And they're like, okay, but are you happy? And they're like, what? So they spent a half of the day talking about happiness and that it's a choice. It doesn't happen by accident, like regardless of what's going on in your life. And they use the analogy of a dog, which I thought was funny because like, no matter what is happening, a dog's always like, hey, I'm so happy. And like the dog could have a broken leg and be like, no problem. I'm fine. This is great. And so it was like the dog's mindset is like gratefulness and happiness. And so they're saying, no matter what you're doing in your business, if you're not offsetting it with like health and like happiness and family time, then what are you doing? Like, what's the point anyways? Who cares if you do 300 transactions if all you're doing with your life is 300 transactions? Like nobody is about to die and was like, oh, I wish I would have closed one more, and then like collapses on the ground, right? Like we all wish like we spent more time with our family or we took that one last trip or whatever. So they focused a lot on that and like asking yourself like, where's the balance for you? And Gary said, if you look at your calendar, you'll see your true values. So that like your family time, your friendship time, your personal time should also be on your calendar, not just like your appointments.
Yes, that was so good. He talks a lot about hustle culture versus like a happiness culture. And it doesn't have to like be one or the other. Yeah. Even though we spend a lot more time talking about that hustle culture, but like, that all really resonated. And that was a good conversation. Yeah. And just that people like some of the people, you can build your business in a way that is meaningful and happy to you. So Phil Jones was the keynote speaker and he wrote the book Exactly What to Say, which he said has sold more copies than Harry Potter and 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah. And then he said in one day.
In one day.
Like
Oh.
one day he beat them. But not the
Oh.
whole time. Yeah. Yeah. But
I
it's still
didn't, I
funny.
didn't miss that. That's funny. But it's all about how the words we use in our relationships with people matter. And especially like the generation now of people in business, people who are
Mhm.
buying homes, the pushy salesman, like Wolf of Wall Street type sales doesn't work.
Mhm.
And if you're still trying to do that and like, you know, just handle the objections, right? Like you're not going to be successful, and you need to listen to what people are saying and really focus on building those relationships. And thus comes a happier life within that hustle. And it was really good. So I know we're going to read the staff. We're going to read that as a book club. Maybe we'll expand that as like a out to the office, like a
Yeah,
book
that's a
club.
good one for book club.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, and he touched on just changing how you say stuff, even slightly. So he was like, one thing agents do a lot is, I'm just following up on the email I sent you. Like, instead of saying that, saying, was curious if you had a chance to read that email, like changing the I's to you, because you're still doing the same thing. But he said agents are so quick to be like, I have to show my value. Like, I'm following up and I sent you an email and I did this. But you can do that same value proposition, but just switching some of the I's to U's. And he was like, I challenge you to go back and look at some of your emails or text messages and see how many times you said like I showed this property, or I reached out to the agent, instead of like had a conversation with the listing agent, went really well, blah, blah. Like just changing just that totally changes how the client perceives it or receives it.
Yeah.
too.
Ooh.
I took like 3 pages of notes
Yeah.
just on him. His was really
Yeah.
good. So it makes me want to read his book, and it's short, easy read. He also said something else that really resonated in it. He said, today, you know, you're working on the business today for 2024 and 2025. Like we can't just be trying to like sell that next house like every day, right?
Mhm.
I mean, you do need to do that, but like if you're really truly building relationships and building a sense of community, like a lot of the speakers talked about, and value, everything you're doing, you're just laying bricks for the future.
Yeah, he said that conversations are like onions, they should have layers, and that they're like also try and think of how many open-ended questions you could ask versus like, how are you? Good. Great. Like, what's a different way you could ask, like, how are you? Just because it'll turn into a better conversation. Because how are you? I'm great. Like, tends to end. But if you're like, I saw you went on vacation, that looked amazing. What was your favorite part? That opens up a whole different conversation versus how are you? You know, so that was just little tips and tricks like that he did. And another thing that he said was bring context before you bring content. So like, think about the context of what you're speaking and why you're saying what you're saying versus just the content that you're delivering, and it'll change your
Yeah, wait,
conversation.
say that again.
That context before content.
It's good.
Like, why are you saying what you're saying, and what value does it bring the client? Like, are you talking for yourself, or are you talking to bring them value? It's a big thing, and including in your own personal relationships too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
With your spouse or your significant other, and just talking
Yeah.
about I.
Yeah.
What about the different presenters on stage? Which were there any that like really resonated with you? I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot.
Well, I really liked the keynote, so I took lots of notes during that. A lot of the one pagers were really nice. It's always cool to see how different people are drumming up business or what they're doing to stay in contact with their sphere. I'm always interested, obviously, in everybody's take on social media, because I love social media, and seeing how they're using it. There was one agent there that's been an agent for 4 months, period. Like, she got her license 4 months ago. She has 100,000 followers on Instagram, and it's because of what she posted, how she posted every day. And she already has so many deals coming out of it that she's giving out deals at the office and like building businesses with people at the office. And she's brand new. Like,
She's been in here there
4
4
months.
months. It was so crazy.
yeah.
And I mean, it was real. Like
Mhm.
they talked about for her specifically, to say something in your videos that's a little controversial, not really controversial, a little controversial, just so it like tricks the
Creates
algorithm
conversation,
and
too.
like creates
Mhm.
conversation, because that'll get it seen more, which
Mhm.
like gets you more followers.
Well, and
which-
all of her
that was
videos are
interesting.
not like trends. There aren't like dances or audios. It's like her in her car, or her walking into the office, or her walking in the coffee shop. It's like quick in the moment, 15-second videos about, I just saw on the news this morning, blah, blah, blah. What do you think that's
Yes.
gonna do to the real estate market? Like, a lot of her videos are her asking questions, and then people are commenting in the comments, and that's what
Mhm.
helped the algorithm get her going.
Right, or she's okay, when I just said controversial, maybe shocking or like is a little
Mhm.
better of a word, but she's like, don't ever do this when buying a home. Like say something like that, like, I don't know, makes the people want to watch it, makes
Yeah.
or the best idea, or I hate it when this happens.
Well, you have 3 seconds to stop the scroll. So whatever you
Yes.
say in the first 3 seconds, if it's not something that's gonna like make somebody pause, then it doesn't matter. And the more they watch, the more the algorithm's like, oh, this person's providing good content. Let's let other people see this video or
Mhm.
post.
Mhm. And that one, if you're following along, it's how Rena got 100,000 TikTok followers in 100 days.
Mhm.
And then like, so it's kind of cool. All of these, there's like one pagers on, and one that really resonated for me was this gal from Texas, Haley Garcia, who it's called a Powerful VIP program. She created a network within her community of all like really VIP people, like attorneys, doctors, like and would have these really elaborate events for this like VIP networking group, right? So similar to a lot of networking groups people do, but she just elevated it, right? And she would have, higher end parties and provide all this value and do like happy hours, but it was like people networking with other people kind of like that also thought they were really important. Anyways, now it's like she's been doing it for how
Well,
many years?
she
now? I
took
can't
it
remember.
to like, if you don't come to 2 events in a row, she takes you off the list. And then people call her and are like, hey, I wasn't invited. She's like, oh, I didn't know you were still interested. You haven't come. And they're like, oh, no, I want to come. And then that's how she gets like back in connection with them and gets them back on the list.
Right. Oh, and she would have like a black tie,
Yeah.
New Year's Eve party. But like, again, that's not everyone's style,
Mhm.
but like, so that's why it's so cool to hear all these different
Yeah,
ones.
just different ways you can do it.
A lot of them talked about like community and like building that sense in your neighborhood, in your community, so many different ways.
Mhm.
Whether it's with events.
Well, one thing Gary said on day 1 too is it's our job to educate people and to be a teacher and give perspective, not to sell to them. So, and he was talking about how people actually do like to be led. And so instead of pushed. So like just your approach and like your listing appointments or your buyer's agents appointments and stuff like that. It's just remembering people like to be led instead of pushed. And then a quote that he said that I loved is timing is a fool's game. It's always the right time to buy and sell the right piece of real estate. So it doesn't really matter what the market is, but there is always a right piece of real estate depending on what you're looking for. So
yeah, there was another thing that was really good that they talked a lot about the amount of equity that people are sitting on right now in America. And that I can't remember the exact stats. It's in the slides that we'll go through Gary's slides, but a lot of people have, over 50% of their home value in equity. And educating our clients on what they could be doing with that money, just like Dwight teaches us in our wealth building class, to take that money and be leveraging it towards additional real estate and investment properties. And that if that money is just sitting there as equity, it's not building more long-term wealth. And so there was a lot of conversations about that. I left being like, I gotta like get some equity out of my house and go buy another, every time I go to these, I'm like, we gotta like get, we're just wasting this equity, but it's true. And it helps. There was a lot of good conversations. I think there's a couple one pages on the investment stuff in here too. But that was a lot of common conversations that were brought up.
yeah. And then of course, one of my favorite things is to see local agents that we know and work with, including a Keller Williams agent, but an agent right in our market that was on stage too. So it's always cool to see that people that we know in our area doing cool things and hearing from them.
That is cool. I'm going to nominate some of you guys for family reunion. Yes.
Who was it that you saw?
Well, the Gilead team from the Lebanon area, they do a lot about, Laura, they do a lot about community. Like they have moving trucks that you can use of theirs. They have storage units that you can use if you need to put stuff in storage while you're moving and downsizing and stuff. And that's just something you get to use as one of their buyers or sellers. So just stuff like that, and it was cool. And it's fun because I've done a transaction with that team. So I was like, hey, Nick Shivers was on stage talking about the work that he does with the kids in Kenya and how purchases or profits from his sales go to helping families in other areas and stuff like that too. So those were two of the ones that are like more in our niche market.
Laura spoke here probably.
Yeah,
years ago.
we should have her. Yeah, we should have her
Yeah.
come back because she builds all that business, just with word of mouth and social
Yeah,
media.
I was saying when I had a client in that area, one day I showed 8 houses to this couple and 5 of them were their team. So
Yeah.
like you can really see that they have
I think
a
she
huge
does like
impact in that
100
area.
events a year.
Mhm.
And she's up to 36. I heard 36 people.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah,
hers
on the
is
team.
the right at the beginning, it's like 4 pages in, it's the large team business model. So also like those of you looking at teams and structure, they shared a lot of the organizational charts of what that looks like for these different people's business models. So really good info.
Yeah, and a lot of them recommend doing a TC and an assistant before doing a buyer's agent and stuff. Because then again, it has all to do with your systems and how everything flows so that when you do have a buyer's agent, you know how to leverage them and use them properly and also how to grow them too.
That's like in the MREA. I love it.
Yeah.
Right? Go figure. Some of these people follow it. Thanks for sharing, Rochelle. Give Rochelle a round of applause. One other thing I want to talk about from Mega Camp that happened before we break is the IALC had a big vote. So that's the International Agent Leadership Council. So we have our local ALC here and we talk about things. Then, you know, every region has 1 or 2 representatives that go and vote on big decisions within our company. Like it really is like everything in the like policies and guidelines manual from Keller Williams is all like voted on by agents. So it really is like an agent-led business model. So there was a lot of talk about the profit share and how last year $30 million from our profit share went to agents that directly compete with us, which that was never the intention of profit share when it was created. It was to, you know, reward the agents who help our business grow. And because, you know, now it's 7 years to vest now, but it used to only be 3. And so there's a lot of people at other brokerages that were some of the highest paid profit share. So how profit share works is we have our, every month when we close out our books, we have our allotted amount of profit share that gets distributed to our agents with profit share. Well, right now, 70% of that or so, like I just ran the numbers for our market center, was going to people who like went to EXP 10 years ago or, you know, but they were vested in, and people at other brokerages. Now, some of those are retirees and stuff, and that is great, right? Like that's the intention of it. So this bill that was on the table was to limit the amount of money that went out to people at directly competing brokerages, because that was never the intention of it, right? To be paying people millions of dollars to compete against us. So they changed it. So instead of them receiving their portion, they will now receive 5% of what they would have gotten. And that other 95% goes back into the pool that goes to our agents that are here. So it doesn't go back to us. It doesn't go to Keller Williams. It goes to the agents that are here. So it actually rewards the agents who are truly like loyal, the sentiment of what profit share was all about, like the community. So that passed. It will go into effect on or before July 1st, 2024. But that passed and without a lot of debate and
Well, it's been debated for 3 years.
yes.
Yeah.
They finalized it finally, but it's been
Mhm.
debated in fact, for heavily for probably at least 3 years,
Yeah,
at least 3 years.
right. So if people do retire and stuff like that, it doesn't take away theirs.
Or
Like,
if they move to a market that we don't have data, it doesn't take it.
right. It's really just like the intention of people that, so it's anyways, it's more profit share back to you guys. I mean, in like literally for our market center, it's like 70% back now, like that would be distributed to you guys. So that was a big deal because typically there's not a vote on such an impactful thing. A lot of times it's like a minor change, and there was like 3 other changes that were, you know, less significant, but that one was very impactful, right? For profit share. I mean, in theory, a year from now, you'll be making a lot more in profit share, and it might happen sooner. They just have to they gave it by that deadline in the bill to work out all the details.
And the vote started here at our office. We as the ALC reviewed it, voted on it to take it forward and recommended the region.
Exactly, right?
Started at the grassroots level.
Yeah, so our ALC took a vote, had a good discussion. We have the regional ALC, we tell them what we think, then those representatives go. So we really do have a voice. Thank you for bringing that up, Mark.
Yeah, you'll probably see it in the news.
Marcia.
Because they're assuming that some people are gonna be pissed about it and sue us, but they're prepared for it too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So if you see us getting sued, we're already ready.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't get scared.
And that's
We're prepared.
Keller Williams, not us as agents.
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Right, and it says in the policy and guidelines manual and the profit share that the IALC may vote at any time to change things. So it's very clearly written. So no, a lawsuit won't have any stake. Now that's why they didn't, I don't think, eliminate it entirely, because that isn't changing it. That's eliminating it. So I think that's kind of because it was up for discussion maybe a couple of years ago, but removing it for agents that went away. And I think that's why they kind of they spent a lot of time. There was a whole task force dedicated to researching all of this. So overall, though, it should be really good. And if you are interested in getting more involved in the leadership of the office and then beyond, we're going to be, it's hard to believe that it's already almost the end of August and that we're going to be talking to people about the new 2024 ALC, excuse me, locally here soon, next month. So ask Cam, who snuck out of here, is an ALC member. Mark Schultz is an ALC member, and Rochelle is an ALC member right now. Bradley has considered it. That was a comment.
Bradley, next year, commercial.
Next year, commercial. No. But it's just, you're acting as a leader within the office and you are helping us make decisions here at the local level and then putting an input for other levels. So if you are curious about the ALC, ask any of the ALC members or come ask any of us on staff and we'll help you out. Come over, Cole.
You should mention Hawaii.
Oh, yes. Oh my gosh, heartbreaking. So I posted in our Facebook group. Thank you, Rochelle. I posted in our Facebook group that they announced at Mega Camp that at that point, 12 Keller Williams agents from KW Maui had fully lost their homes and everything. And there was one agent still missing. We just got an update yesterday that now 15 Keller Williams agents have lost their home and everything. And
One is still missing.
and one is still still unaccounted for. I saw in the news that there was 1,000 people still unaccounted for overall, but you really see in a community of that size, how many just Keller Williams agents, and then expand that out to the communities. So there is a link to donate in our KWPP agents group. They did a cultural summit towards the end of, at the end of Mega Camp to wrap it up. And they raised $30,000. Oh, $60,000 in 30 minutes or something. So, and that money was directly through to them. Right. And so, we talk a lot about our culture and helping each other and, the good that money can do. And in situations that are desperate like that, getting money to those people fast is so significant, so helpful. So not only were we able to get that money but get it to them immediately for all of the immediate.
And we'll be
needs.
hearing about how KWPP Cares, the national group,
KW Cares.
or KW Cares, excuse me, the national group, goes to work on this. I'm sure we're going to be hearing about what they've done, moving trucks in, providing housing and everything else with the money that we've donated into KW Cares. So just a reminder, we have our own Keller Williams Portland Premier Cares, that's for our agents. And then we have Keller
KW.
Williams Cares, which is the national one, that takes care of our umbrella company, right?
For
So-
disasters and things like that, because there is just been so many more of those, right? Overall. So both are important, but they're important in different ways, right? Because sometimes people ask that wait, which one should I donate to? Well, they do different things, right?
Well, it's important. Let me
Yeah.
just add, because I was home yesterday because I wasn't feeling well, so I was catching up on things and I realized, God, there's a lot of stuff going on. So I was watching, you know, how many homes were destroyed, and how many people are missing in a fire at Lahaina, and there's like flooding in Palm Desert like you can't believe right now, and there's destruction up a little bit north of there, and fires that are moving through Spokane area, and I thought, holy cow, like, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on this year, and we're gonna have heat, and there's 3 or 4 storms lined up now off Florida. So it just reminds us why we need to support Keller Williams and our own fund, which is, I think we're probably close to 50,000 right now.
Yeah, I think it's like 46,000 right now.
Yeah, so because our time will count, folks. I mean, that's the way the life works. We'll have some event in Portland and we'll find a lot of people in need, and the more money we have, the more we can change their lives, at least in the short term. So
Yeah, we've helped 2 of our agents this year.
yeah.
So, it's real, and it, like, you know, that's important too. But like, these times do remind us of our culture. I just was on a call yesterday. We were on a call with the staff from KW Maui, and you know, they're all like 4 generation like on Maui, right? And so they, you know, they're devastated. It was heartbreaking to hear from them. Cole, you're from Hawaii, not from Maui, right? But from Hawaii.
Yeah,
That's just a little
yeah.
fact.
I do have some immediate family on Maui.
Oh.
They were luckily on the other side of the island from all the fires, but like all the support that everyone's been showing has been incredible. And we've been in contact with them, and they're fine and everything, but it's
Good.
kind of cool to see the world come together for something like that.
Right. In the times of tragedy, like, you see the good in people, right? So we'll leave it that with like a warm, fuzzy feeling in our hearts. So give stuff for the schools. They do really need it, even though it's like not a lot of like different types of things, those things that they need, they like really need. Like, I get like just stupid stuff, like teachers have to buy their own band-aids and stuff for their class, just silly stuff like that you like never think of. So if you can help with that, and then the link for the Hawaii Market Center and agents are there. Cole, do you have a welcome speech prepared?
Gosh.
Just kidding. Just kidding. We are happy to have you. You can start bugging Cole with questions. Austin, you can still bug Austin for a few more days. For a few more days. It's not bugging. They love helping our agents, just like we all do. But you'll be seeing Cole a lot more.
I'm
And
excited. I'm
we'll be
excited.
seeing Austin. I joked to Austin, I said, soon you don't have to answer my calls. You can like decline me and be too busy. But for now, anyways, thank you guys for coming. We have guests. Actually, say hi to everyone. Our special guest when we get off. Yeah, introduce yourself to her. But see you guys this week at Rick Gray on Zoom.
Rick Gaze, we come here to watch him on Zoom.
Yes, I mean, how good to the people on Zoom.
Oh, I see what you're saying. No.
What's up, Boston?
Rick Ray's here. We're here.